Yo, 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 what's happening? Party peoples of the universe. We're back with another breakdown. This time for my track Plastic Jam on Berg Audio. Um, I think you guys voted for a little bit of a deeper track that we go through today. So we chose Plastic Jam together on the Instagram voting. So let's jump right into that one then. I have the project open here as always. I've only done a little bit of tidying up to this. Most of the time the deeper tracks come out on Berg Audio since I'm good friends with the guy who's running it, and I always have a little bit of a feeling when it could be something for his label. And he's always the first person that I send my music to, mostly. So he has the first glimpse of the tracks and can directly save it for his label, so to say, if he likes it. So we start, as always, with a kick. This one is not too heavy, not too saturated or something, as you can listen here. I have a tiny little bit of a drum bass on it, or not tiny little bit, that's actually not true. It's on 84% and a little bit of a drive. So with, it's like this, and without. So just a little bit of a push. Some people will say it's only a little bit louder, which is also true, I guess. But it's gotten a little bit of saturation too. Only hearable for the crazy listeners. This is what I like to use though almost all the time if I want to give the kick a little bit of a push. Hence the name drum bass. And it's super easy to dial in and out with the dry wet here. So it's a 909 kick, nothing too fancy. So let's get into the rhythm group section, which is doing these things. So this one consists of a few loops, and sometimes if the loops don't really have enough punch or crunch on the snare or the clap position, I like to just layer it a little bit, because most of the time the loops, I like them to sit a little bit in the background of the mix, to just glue everything together, even though I don't really believe in that too much. But it always gives a nice little grittiness and atmosphere to the track. So the first loop I used was this one. More like a, almost electro-ish kind of loop. So I just cut the low end off, obviously. But I really liked the little like glitchy, groovy sound effects in it, and also the snare was pretty dope, so I used it like that. And just here at this position, I added a little bit of the snare. So I copied the snare from this position and inserted it here. And since the whole track was going to be pretty much on the 16th and no crazy swing to it, it's super easy to adjust it and just put them in there. Usually I decide what groove or what swing my tracks have depending on the first loop or the first top loop that I choose for it, because after that I want all the elements to, of course, have the same kind of swing, and to adjust to it. So usually the first loop that I like while I'm digging for something is the one which sets the swing for the whole track. So following up after this loop, I would be at this state of mind right now. I was browsing through a few more and came around this one. And yeah, this one gave the whole liveness, fresh air into this drum loop, I think. And I did the same thing I did before with the snare here. I copied this one, this little snare here, and also on the same position as the other one that I placed, I put this here. So then we were sitting with this. And I even added a few more of these snares, the one that which I just repositioned. I also cut it out and added a few groove elements here and there. And as you can see, I tried to align it a little bit with the rest of the elements here. So since this one is not really that prominent in the loop, I feel I'd rather have the snare which I add in aligned to this glitchy sound effect here. Really nice loop going on now, and increased the groove, I feel, so much. These additional snares would I put in here. I could have just consolidated this one now, like this, Command J, and just copied them all over. But at this point in the track, I don't feel like tidying up the track yet. You know, I want to keep my focus on the creative part of the of making a track, instead of already naming everything and grouping everything and, you know, doing these tidying up things, because they put me out of the flow, I feel. So that's why sometimes the projects are a little bit messy, but I feel like I don't want to be interrupted in the flow of creating a drum groove. Next addition to the drum groove was this shaker. Yep, just a little tiny part which I found in one of these old sample CDs. If I would be to extend it, would be this. Okay, and you know, it's just a shaker, nothing really fancy going along with this one. So I just needed these two elements, and basically it's just the two velocities, you know. But a shaker always feels like it adds like a really organic feel to the drum grooves, and especially if you're programming like a really robotic on the 16th groove, I feel like a shaker can add swing, even though it's not like a rhythmical swing, but just by like the change of velocity and stuff, you know, it adds like a human touch to it, to a really robotic groove preset. Hope that made sense in some way, but yeah. Later on, we come to a open hi-hat, and this is kind of like a staple I almost always do in like 90% of the tracks, to keep pushing the drum groove a little bit towards the progress of the track. And most of the time it's a 909, but yeah, just like in this scenario. And this was again, the fundamental part of the groove, which made me work with melodic elements now. I think the shaker, which is coming here on top, is I put it on later, because sometimes I see if it's a cappella. This one seems to be a bass cappella. I was searching for some kind of vocals or something, and then every once in a while you stumble across a vocal or an a cappella which still has some drum or a cappella or some percussion elements in it, which you feel like which could fit the groove that you're working on. So it was the same with this one. You see how this is a in the beginning of the track, actually. So I felt like this shaker would also work really nicely later on with the track. So let's skip to the bass line, which is this one. I did it with Blue 3, which is one of my favorite plugins, especially if I'm going towards a more electro-ish feel bass line. I wouldn't use this one for a guitar bass or something, but for anything else which could have a cool resonance or something, I feel like Blue really does the trick here. And this one seems to be the preset Me for You Bass 1. Has a really cool glide function in it as well. Boom, 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 boom. Perfect singing, right? And yeah, together with the beat, it sounds like this. So added a little bit of grittiness on top. I always like to do this with either the Erosion plugin or the Redux. In this case, I did it with the Redux to give it a little bit of grittiness. You can hear the little fizziness. It always feels like it's a little bit of a distortion, but it makes it clearly more hearable on difficult sound systems. If you listen to it in the whole mix, it doesn't really make it that big of a difference, but it's just a tiny little 2% or 1%, which could elevate the track. Gave it a little bit of a bass boost here as well, an amp too, which is, if you put it at this position in the chain, in the effect chain, of course it also will now amplify the Redux. So you got to be careful with these kind of things when you put the certain effect. But in this case, it was cool because it even elevated the Redux, which I put in the front of the chain. It elevated it to the next level and it made it really gritty. And then afterwards, I put the sidechain compression on. Yeah. So everything ducks, If I would put the sidechain compression in the beginning, the effects like the Redux and the amp wouldn't duck, So yeah, can be your choice. I think in this case it wasn't really anything intended. I just did it like this and it felt good. So that is fine. Next up, just a little groove element which was playing along nicely with the bass, which is like a little squarey step. Like a syncopated little step, which gives a little bit of a groove to the bass line. It feels like it's part of it, and I was going through some bass samples probably here. Found this one. And it has a really, really crunchy top, so it's really, really hearable. So when you do like a syncopated bass shot, most of the time it feels really good if it's something which has a nice top end to it, so it feels more percussive. This works really well usually with like live guitar basses, when you have the fret, you can really hear the fret or something, or with these kind of things, you can really hear the digital distortion on it, like this. Then I'll go chronologically on what is being introduced in the track by now, instead of going working my way up to the down channels. So next up, we have like a little atmosphere, which I have done with the Super JD standing here. Yeah, super cool, ethereal kind of feel to it, because it's like a layered thing already. Usually you find these kind of presets on these machines or in these plugins, typing in choir, because then it feels like it gives like a vocal kind of chord on top of it. And this one is evolving really nicely, so it kind of vanishes a little bit again, and then it comes back. So this one I probably just pressed like 2 notes or something, and it did all the rest of the automation by itself. So these are really always really cool to try out, and this one did the job pretty well. Then a bell lead, probably also done with one of the analog hardware I'm sitting here. Could be even the Korg Triton, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, especially with like pads and stuff. It's super nice. Like bells always really fill up the high frequency spectrum so nicely. And it's super fun to put them in, I think. They're barely even noticeable in the whole grand scheme of the track, but yeah, listen for yourself. And this is the main lead, which is also kind of like a vocal, which has like a vocal kind of feel to it. So it seems to be kind of the whole topic of the track a little bit, to put these really vocally, voxy lead sounds in there. This one's done with blue again. With a low cut on it. Let me see what it's called, Vox Choir 2. Probably one of the presets on there. With a little bit of an amp to it. As always, I always try to push especially if it's like a lead sound or something, amp just always has a good way of pushing it a little bit and making it really stand out in the whole mix. Now it sounds a little bit mushy. I felt like, okay, this could use a little push. Sounds like you had it in like a box, and now you're opening the box a little bit, Again, a low cut, a tiny little bit of the mid-frequency spectrum is boosted here. A drum bass on 80%, but with a low drive. Just again to put a little bit of harmonics and grittiness on it. A ping pong delay, only working with the higher frequencies of this concert hall preset. This is a really cool preset I like to use on these lead sounds because it has a super long decay, but I only like to dial it in, like not really that much. You can see here it's at 9.5%. And again, an erosion, more distortion, and in the end, a limiter. It's time to jam. The usual other elements, snare drums, 909 snare drums, but with like a little triplet in front. So yeah, both of these elements, the crash and the snare drum, being a low cut as well, so it doesn't interfere with anything. So now, usually the acid elements, if I don't find anything in my sample banks or something, I like to do with the ABL 3. Don't know if this is the latest version right now, but to come up with some patterns, also randomly, I always like to use it. So I knew my track was in E flat minor or in D sharp minor, I don't know, E flat minor, I think. So now what you can do here in the ABL is go to random, you set it to random here. Then you choose the key that you're in. This time it was D flat, D sharp minor. And then you can just click apply, twist these knobs a little bit to your liking, and just click on the next seat. And then whatever you think fits the track really nicely, you can just use. I have the note percentage dialed at 8, and this is kind of like how freaky the behavior of the pattern is going to be note-wise, So if I turn this up now, it's going to play all different kind of notes which are in the scale. But I didn't want the notes to behave super crazy. I just wanted to have the acid play a little more of an atmospheric role in the track instead of being a main lead, because I have so many main leads in there right now already. So I just wanted it to be like an extension to the actual, to the current bassline that I was having. So I dialed it in back to 8%, and then I just let it rip for a little bit. And as soon as I had something which I thought was fitting really nicely, I rendered it out. Usually what I do then is to create a new channel with Command T, have it recording, and as the input I use the ABL channel, which I now selected here, ABL or ABL3, I think I need to put in. 25, yeah. And then usually you get the input from this channel, and then you can just start recording it like this. You can, while you're recording, you can go into the plugin and just, use the cutoff frequency and play around with it a little bit and see if you can just live create some moments in the track. And then you feel like, oh man, this was like a cool moment or stuff. So you jump back on it, you take this, and then you copy it or something, and then you have something nice. This always feels like, I feel like the ABL is a really, really cool thing if you're stuck and you don't really know what to do, and it gives you some ideas. This is what it did to this track over here. As you can see in this channel here, the ABL one, I did exactly that, and just had some tiny little shots, which are from this sequence here, as you can see, and I just cut the ones out which I really, really liked. So it got down to this one. See, it's not really doing crazy things, but as I told you earlier, I wanted it to just be an addition to the actual bassline which I have right now. It feels like a little bit of a call response now with the squarey little groove. square with the square step. You know, if you play these together. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then later on, now I brought in the lead vox again, and that felt like a classic, I don't know, 80s kind of vibe now, which was giving this. And I want to give the bassline a little bit of a push even more by adding some top frequencies to it, because right now it was like really, really filtered, I would say. And to do just that, I copied the bassline. Let me bring it up here. It is playing the exact same notes as the bass before, so I just duplicated it. Actually used the Blue 3 again, you know, so just like this. Command and D for duplicate. And then I searched for a bass preset which had a little bit more of top harmonics going on, so I could layer it, you know, because this one is now having a low cut on it and a little bit of a drum bass. I tried some more effects out, like a chorus and a phaser, but it didn't need it, I feel. Yeah, I felt like this was a little bit of a cool addition to the bassline to kind of reveal more of it. I think we're done with the bassline now, though. There's not any other elements coming on top of it. Now let's get into the chords, which are coming later. And this one is called the Titchy Brass. Yeah, playing these notes with several effects on it. Obviously, as you can hear, a low cut, a nice delay, a tiny bit of a filter on, almost doing nothing basically. An amp on it. As I said, I always just try to use the amp on the musical elements, because there's always a high chance it's going to do some nice stuff to these elements. Then if we want to put an element more in the distance, you obviously don't have the ability to put stuff front to the front and the back, you know, only left and right. So the way of putting an element in the mix a little bit more to put it a little bit further away is by using an EQ or an auto filter and cutting of the lows and the highs, because the more you have an element sitting in the distance in real life, the less you hear of the high and the low frequencies. You know, these are the things that vanish at first, it seems. You know, that's the psychological aspect about it. So the more I would do this, so now it's way far behind, you know. And I did that, you know, just not as extreme here with the EQ8. Sometimes it's losing a little bit the strength, you know, the power. So I added an overdrive on it. Yeah, just to give it a little bit of a more nostalgic feel. And usually when I put an overdrive on these kind of elements, it gains a little bit of a low end again. So I cut that out again, just with an EQ again. Then I have the retro color on it. I saw this plugin, or I got it because of a collab I did with Sydney. He uses it a lot, so I added, the wobble, distort, digital, and space, and magnetic on it. Subtle. Kind of does a little bit what the overdrive does, but yeah, felt nice. A little bit of reverb on it. You can see the effect chain for this synth is massive. All just doing tiny little things, but I feel like it worked really well with this synth. Now coming to the first break. Impact. Boom. Someone closed the door. A high string playing. This is not crazy stuff. And now we have 3 kind of chords coming in. Again, done with the blue. And not really in the track before at any point. So this is the first one, blue chords it's called. Being automated with the frequency, as you can hear, so it's first a little bit more in the distance again, and then coming and being revealed later on in this break. And actually, this is a bass preset. So, as you can hear, it sounds like a bass, but I think I was playing some chords with it. Super cool, right? Has like a super. It's not just a dry sine or square or something, which could also have sounded cool. But Blue 3 has some really, really cool oscillators, like this pick bass here and muted guitar. So if you have kind of guitarish feel to it, it always adds such a cool character, I feel. So it did that here. But I felt, of course, this wasn't enough. So I sampled a section in another track, I think, from another artist here. Yeah, with a delay, reverb, just really subtle. Took a part of it. It was very loud, I think, but yeah, you get the idea. It was like a paddy section of another track, and you can just, use a tiny little thing from the pad section there and use it as a step. Like that. Did this here, and with another section in this sample here, you can see it there. I sampled this section, and whoop, there I sampled this one here, and together it sounds like this. Those who know me know I like to put in pianos here and there because I've played the piano for 8 years or something. Took the least out of it, but I know how to play some chords, I guess. So this is cool and has helped me a little bit. So here you can see I was playing around with a piano preset on my Korg Triton. And I sliced up a part of this piano recording which I did. So if I was to play this without the slices, that was me playing really bad. Whoop. So I was feeling like, okay, here and there were some nice chords which I could use, but I have to find the moments where I played them in a nice way. So I usually just chop these up, and what Ableton does really well is just to finding the transients which are clearly visible to Ableton. And it chops it there. So most of the time when Ableton chops it, it is already a good moment because it's not like mushy played, because the transient is really hitting nice. So did just that and then played this. So the piano part was kind of the bridge, I would say, to the chords being dropped in again and stuff. I think the feeling is really, really cool once it does, working towards it and gave it a little bit more of an epic feel, and then back into being shot into the space with a rocket, Pew! Bam! Okay, this part obviously goes back again to the piano chords. Anything worth mentioning here? Here's some swirly effects. Forgotten I put this in there. This one too. This is obviously the vocal I used. I've used it in a J.K. Rowling track before as well, but I don't care. Sometimes things just fit and then I use it twice. So don't tell me what to do. Big City Atmo here. Sometimes I use vinyl crackle, sometimes I use a restaurant, with people chatting and stuff. Sometimes I use a Big City Atmo, which is one of my favorite Atmos to put in. Nobody gives a shit, but I do. And this is my favorite Atmo, I think. Oh, we're in New York right now, on the street. It's a quiet corner, but nonetheless really, really exciting. There's the guy with the hot dog stand. Oh man, can't wait to put that hot dog again in my mouth. Man, New York hot dogs are the best, I feel. I'm hungry now. Okay, let's come to an end so I can eat a hot dog. Nothing else, I think, which needs to be covered. We're through. We're through, baby. We're through. Yeah, this was the Plastic Jam breakdown. I hope you had a lot of fun. You learned a lot of things, or not. Not as simple of a project as the other ones were, which I went through, but also nice to see, I guess. And as always, I forgot to show you the mastering. So let's get back into it. Wait. Boom. And as you can see in the other videos, it's again this preset, which I always use for my mastering. So, nothing new. Nothing new. Nothing new. Nothing new. Nothing new. Peace. Thanks for tuning in.